talking about poetry to people, and I believe everybody's a poet. And so we'll start right in. Click here. I'd like to start by sharing with you some of my own poems. How's this mic? Am I doing it right? Yeah. And selected poems from writing groups in schools and in hospitals. I'll talk about my techniques for teaching. Isn't there kind of a ring? Should be closer. Further. Teaching poetry writing, and then explain to you what poetry therapy is. First, I'd like to read a poem by David Gregory, a frequent attendee at my poetry readings, workshops, and festivals. David Gregory wrote the following poem in a poetry writing workshop and gave me permission to share it with you today. Oops, that's me. 10 reasons the world needs poetry. One needs the muse to make life endurable. Is it still too close? What better way than to learn to recite and sing? One hears the tramp of feet on pavement, the heart beats to the rhythm of words that ring, and the humdrum existence we live and breathe. Poetry lifts us, of which we are on the wings. It can console the wounded, hapless soul. Give life to better thoughts, to do a better thing, than die and so exist from the world. Poetry can give life to nations, long thought dead. Awaken people from long slumber, stir the complacent to action that rights the wrongs of ages past, to make a better tomorrow in the coming of revolutions that will shake the high and mighty like ripe fruit from a tree. David Gregory. Now I'd like to read you some of my own poetry, and welcome to our newcomers. It's nice to have you here. I've been writing poetry since the first grade. Over 350 of my poems have been published in such places as the New York Times, the London Times, and Christian Science Monitor published my lesson plan for teaching poetry writing. Mrs. Diggory in first grade. My sitting on the edge of the chair to the tip of the edge. The very edge of the tip of the chair, chewing a pencil. Remember those big pencils we used to have? Listening, and she shared the magic of words. The next poem I'd like to share with you that I wrote is called I'm a Word Painter. I'm a word painter. I carve sentences out of soapstone and rub my hands over them until they are smooth. I'm a balloon woman. Many colorful balloons follow me. I can choose which ideas, which plant, or which person to see at whim. Easily I can let one balloon float away and I can let the air out. I like to be a squirrel, easily running up and down tree trunks. I'm a gold panner, finding gold nuggets of poetry in people who thought there weren't any. Now the next one is called Downsizing. I'm sure all of you can relate to that. I see some nodding heads. Downsizing. A poem or a song should be written about downsizing. When I was a teenager, the buzzword was junior prom. Then it was talk about getting married and having babies. Now I'm in my 70s, and I have many friends there too. And what do we talk about now? Downsizing. Downsizing has created a new look for my apartment. Parts of it look new, like a minimalist would have. Giving away treasures to younger family or friends ensures the treasures have a longer life. Like at Easter time, now with me hunting for places to put treasures. Downsizing has its own beat. First music of act is slow. Then it gets going and picks up speed. Downsizing. A song or a poem should be written about downsizing. I enjoy taking an ordinary object and building a poem around it. I do this in classes. I have people embroider poems around simple objects. Here's one, for example, a simple object, windshield wipers. We're two windshield wipers going opposite ways. When the sun is out, we're both down the same. And then when the winds howl and the storm clouds gather, we go at each other and get all out of alignment. Also, there are times you reach one direction and need the other. We're two windshield wipers going opposite ways. We have all known people who have cooked delicious meals for us or watched magic shows. Now it's my turn to bring you freshly written poems. Hope the smell like freshly baked bread. I'm a cook with words. My recipes are my soul's, my heart voices. Mummy, I am you when you were me now. When I was young and you were old. Now I am old like you used to be. I am you like you were when you were me now. The next poem is called Senior Circus. There is a senior circus. I'm sure you know what I mean. Those seniors who dazzle us with amazing acts like going to Rome off the surgery table and of running marathons in their 70s and working with sharp minds into their 80s. Well, there is a senior circus, and I'm sure you know what I mean. But I am a lazy old senior southern dog, swatting flies in the shade. I cannot dazzle you with any amazing circus senior acts, just smiles. This morning, I received an email from a friend who said he had stress in his life. Stress, the current fashion. I'm thinking of women who wore corsets and bones in their bras. That was the fashion. I remember having to sleep face down on a pillow because of metal hair rollers in my hair, because curly hair was the fashion. So, today's stress and uncertainty, the fashion. I never knew my grandmother, but my mother showed me her home and her lace, and even the lace my aunt inherited, as though the lace was my grandmother's footprints and fossils of her being. I do not own any lace. My poems are my fossils, to hopefully be looked at in future generations. The next poem is called The Moon. The moon weaves the spider's web from grass to grass. The moon that lavishes velvet over the valley. The moon on the ocean rolls like oil on water. One can say a word and it is gone, but a word on this can cling and haunt the area like the moon. How am I doing? Am I reading too fast? Too slow? Everything okay? Okay, I'm having a good time with you all. You're a great audience. It's nice to be here. Quiet, so healing, like bubbling water that takes the kicks away and purifies them over the rocks. They drop out of the stream, forming sand. That too becomes lovely. Quiet flows in its own colorless rhythm. Bathing in quiet, soaking in its rays, massages my being and strokes. Beautiful, round, full moon, hiding behind the shade of cloud, so that all that peeks out has the silver of gold. How I wish you could raise the shade that hides you. The wind is asleep. The moon has dark blanket pulled up around its ears. Only bright blonde hair leaks out the side. Winds inside my mind are at rest too. No dust flying across the surface of my brain. The next poem is called Husband, You're My Other Bookend. Husband, you're my other bookend, not fastened but mated. We hold between us books of rhyme and letters unanswered that probably never will be answered. Sometimes our books fall and sometimes they stand tall. Husband, I'm talking to you way over there. And here's another poem on marriage called On Marriage. Sometimes the gap is so wide, I think in terms of the Grand Canyon, where the deep bottomless distances are wide from side to side. Sometimes we are one skin and one frame. My blood runs in your veins, and your blood runs in mine. The tide comes in and the tide goes out. Yes, the pulse of life is both low and high. We are two identical stars, apart, pinned to separate spots, but giving forth the same light and glow. Twin stars close together, off in our own space in the galaxy, away from the busy Milky Way, and changing neon signs, together yet apart, the same glow uniting us, connected also by our special light. I wish I was a spider. I wish I was a spider, able to spin a web out of my being, my inner being. I'd step back and watch my insides glisten in the sunlight. A Navajo weaving a robe, an artist making a mosaic, balanced pattern. How I wish I could make a balanced art piece out of my insides. Non-involvement. She goes to the zoo, looks at the animals but does not feed them. She goes to the art museum, sees the statues but doesn't feel them. She went to the beach but never allowed the salt to sting her. She shook his hand but never held it. The world is filled with music. The world is filled with music, the music of the earth spinning, the swishing of the waves and the palm branches, music in our souls. There is music, if only we will listen. My thoughts. My thoughts I take on a leash for our walk, and make thoughts heal, not bite others or roll in the mud. My thoughts I pat on the head and scratch behind their ears in a loving way, so as to bring about a loving response. The next poem is called We Are Two Brass Andirons. We are two brass andirons standing together, holding logs from the ashes. We stand together whether the flames are hot or dormant. There's a timeless quality of our standing upright, polished. We're always side by side, even though not attached. Two andirons, keeping the logs from the ashes. I see you there, round-faced moon, peeking in my window as I sleep. Your face so perky and round, but you choose not to send warmth. You just look at me with your very round face. I'm cold and I could use warmth. The yellow blanket of your rays would feel so nice, but you choose to just stare with your perfect face. Dockside. My boat is in a harbor these days. It's rocking gently and not traveling any place. It feels good just to be in a harbor with the charts folded and the compass ignored. There aren't any train whistles haunting me in the night. I'm not concerning myself about the morning when distant winds will call me and faraway sands will beckon. Questions of future plans, buzzing flies, I brush away. I'm not looking around the bend. There are no winds pushing me to move. It's enough for now to be very much nestled here in the harbor with my sails folded and my engine off. Soft waves lapping against my side, so very soothing. My boat is in a harbor these days. It's rocking gently and not traveling anyplace. I'm being very present and focused. Good talks like playing badminton on a slightly warm summer afternoon. You'd hit wide the plastic birdie, ping, then I would return it, ping. And so, back and forth, looking to the air, satisfaction when connecting with our ideas and thoughts. I miss the back and forth of our ideas and thoughts on a slightly warm summer afternoon in the country. Planning. Stitch, stitch, stitch. So many stitches to hold my life together. Basting, pinning, resetting, fittings, daydreaming, turning slowly around in front of a mirror. I think of sewing machines that can stitch so fast, and I think of embroidery with patient, calm women where time is not the issue. My life, combining colors, seams so it will fit, so it will be smooth. I remember as a child making doll clothes. The pleasure was in the making, not in looking at the finished product. It's so nice to vacate, to cut the line that holds you to the shore, to do nothing. Oh, how nice to do nothing, to waste time, to splash minutes around lavishly, to do nothing is so refreshing. To be still with stillness, not to be afraid, to be very still and quiet. I remember being still on the living room rug, and then only then puppies would come and play. And so here I am on the 36th floor. There are no puppies allowed, but there's quiet and music and stillness. Just one little star. Or is it a sheep in the sky? But mostly empty sky, empty of golden moonlight, empty of smiling moon face. Just one lonely lost star, lost from its galaxy family, all alone in the cold, metal sky. I must take a minute and thank you all for your wonderful presence. You're sending out such warm vibes to me. I've got goosebumps here. It's really a pleasure to be with you all. There's a mosquito of worry, buzzing, buzzing round my head. I swat it to leave, but it won't. Nothing but its drone is heard. The room is filled with its noise. Wish I could run out and leave it behind, but it clings and follows me all over the place, buzzing, buzzing, louder and louder. We sat on the sand facing each other, for we wanted to construct a castle. She poured on sand, and I poured on sand, until we had built our decision. Time, a galloping horse, is whirling me along so fast my hair is wild, and I'm a bit dizzy. We galloped through my calendar as I flipped pages on the run. What happened to slow days when crickets serenaded? Or days we could say, isn't this nice, everyone is away? Or days when there's plenty of parking. The next poem is called Buckets. When I was 6, I had a tin bucket that was colorful and rusty. It held sand but not water. Yet Bucket and I went to the beach daily to enjoy the sun, water, and sand. Now I'm old. I have a make-believe bucket, a bucket list of all I want to do before I die. Before I kick the bucket. As when I was 6 and had a bucket, this bucket has holes, so sometimes what I put in it leaks out. Cannot control what stays and what leaks out, because often sand leaks out with water. So there's never been a bucket in my life that holds all I want to hold. Thank you. Living on the seesaw of fate. The grimmer the news becomes, the more sweet your kindness is. The more losses I endure, the sounder your presence feels. Living on a seesaw of fate, the ups balance the down, but the down bumps on the hard concrete surface of the playground. There is a place where time has stopped, where the gulls glide with the wind, and myriad ripples of the water flicker like a flock of birds. A poet lived here and then died, leaving his inspiration. The tide comes in and out, leaving its treasures. We too came here for a while and left, leaving behind golden moments. A poem is an unexpected house guest who arrives with a suitcase. Immediately he unpacks and settles down. A poem is an unexpected house guest who recalls old experiences, suddenly giving them new light. Yes, a poem is a house guest, for after he is gone, it seems as though he is still there. Poetry was always so nourishing to me that I wanted to share in schools, inspiring children to make poems. One of my teaching tools was a terrorizer. I would bring a wastebasket out and ask everyone to brush off their negative, I can't write poetry and/or thoughts into the basket. I would suggest that everyone carry around a notebook and pencil to catch stray thoughts. Here are a few pictures from my school events. I would teach them how to use imagery. We would have a metaphor be using the something is like something else theme. There were two teams, and the kids would select a name for theirs. They stood facing each other, and when it was your turn, you could come up with a metaphor, and you stayed in the contest. If you couldn't, you had to sit down. We also played poetry musical chairs, where landing in the idea chair requires a child to contribute an idea to the group poem. I had a basket of poetry making ideas that I would bring in for kids. Scotch tape, a hat, different pictures, stuffed animals, musical instruments, you name it. Anything to get their creativity flowing. We would start every session by going around the room. Each kid would get up and say, my name is so-and-so, and I am a poet. Younger students would say lines of poetry out loud, and I would write them down. I would type up the poems so that they could take pride in them. When we read the poems at the end, each kid who had contributed a line stood up and took a bow while the rest clapped. Older students would work in pairs, alternating writing the lines. We sometimes went to local coffee houses and did live readings. At the Institute, we put on a play called Up and Down and All Around, which was their poetry set to music. For adult classes, I have a tin box of pictures and angel cards with words and expressions on them. Those could be poem starters during workshops. I also worked at settlement houses, a recreation center for poor kids, in Philadelphia and Boston with children of all backgrounds. At the end of the Philadelphia Department of Recreation summer project, we would have a big poetry reading where the kids would read their work. There were refreshments. There was lots of applause and positive reinforcement for what they created. I would try to publish the children's poetry whenever possible. such as in Highlights for Children and other national anthologies. Also, I would create our own publications. For example, at the Margaret Fuller Settlement House, we created a magazine called Margaret Murmurs. Here's a few poems from it. The Woodpecker. A woodpecker looks like he has on Indian clothes. He wears a headdress and has olives for eyes. Woodpeckers envy penguins because they can afford tuxedos for daily wear. He's a hammer, hammering his house together. Doesn't it hurt? His beak is a chisel and drills holes for windows. It is also an instrument keeping the same beat. It's like a road maps drill too. For fun, maybe I'll drill a picture. He types for the president's secretary, and what would happen if he pecked at petrified wood? A woodpecker's nightmare is to be pecking on a tree and have it fall down. My Pen by Fran Tyree, age 11. On this page of Pinky Pink, I write my name in inky ink. I'd love to write my name in gold, but ink is all my pen will hold. And this is one of my favorite all-time poems from the children that I work with. To be myself. I'd like to pretend I'm a bird soaring through the sky. I'd like to pretend to be a giraffe reaching up so high and lions roaring at everybody. But most of all, I like to be myself. I taught in a Catholic school, and the classes were on the top floor of the building. The boys loved it because they could make noise. I tried to get them to associate poems and fun, and that location really helped. I taught school outside Philadelphia with disturbed boys. The Mid-Atlantic Evaluation Association came to judge the school and asked the boys, "What is this poetry club?" They were very impressed, and when the kids pulled out a piece of poetry that they carried around in their back pocket of poems that they had written. Here's one of their poems. Man is but a leaf falling from the past. The moon is a soft pillow of night. A friend is like a favorite hideout. A word is a weapon of good or bad. A poem is a deep, harsh thought. A poem is a man with a mind of gold. Music by another one of the boys. There's music in the singing of the reed. There's music in the gushing of a rill. There's music in all things. If a man had ears, the earth is but the music of the spheres. I spent some time teaching in a migrant labor camp using Lawbach literacy. Each one, teach one. I taught migrants to read, especially seniors whose traditional child care duties weren't needed anymore since their children were in school. Preston Norwood was my star pupil. He went from being illiterate to having a poem published in local paper. I put it up in his home in the cinder block walls. I've led many workshops at the Cultural Integration Fellowship in San Francisco, where one of the members gave me permission to share some of her poems with you, along with the illustrations she created for them. My bathrobe hanging on a hook in the bathroom. Pink, fluffyish drapes. Does it look at home? Is it a friend? I have had it for a long time. It was a gift from a past love. We fought the day he bought it for me. I was with him. He hemmed it himself for me, and I remember that. It was such a lovely thing for him to do. So sweet of him to do. so that I could use the gift. What do I think now when I look at it? Another robe, I have more for summer, was bought for me by my father. I was with him too, and he didn't like my choice. A Japanese-style kimono in a store in Florida, where mostly everything was not to my liking. Who will buy me my next bathrobe? My favorite item of clothing, my Japanese jacket. I'm home, I'm resting in the comforting warmth of my dark blue jacket. Its seams are getting frail, the white stuffing beginning to show, like graying hair coming out of a dark head. For cold, tired nights and chilly, foggy mornings, it wraps me in its puffiness. Telephone. Slocum 3897 meant Hyacinth 32521 in kindergarten. Slocum 6 was more shy, less out in the world, frightened of many things. Hyacinth 3 was brasher, more confident, flashier. They continued together in elementary school, went to the same junior high, but in different classes, and like two streams coming together, melted again on the long subway ride, together to high school in Manhattan. Hyacinth 3 insisted Slocum 6 meet her Beau's friend, Nightingale 98860. She did. And in the sometimes way of shy people, married young and married him. Hyacinth 3 married later. Slocum 6 and Nightingale 9 divorced. And now Hyacinth 3 is wife and mother to 3, grandmother to 4. And Slocum 6 lives alone, works full time, and is still trying to figure things out. Spring. Pink and blue, blossoms against the sky, so soon now. Already you're coming. I'm waiting, sweet smell in the air. Burgeoning green promise, here soon. My heart flips in anticipation. Above the bus stop. Birds circling against the sky, separating away and slipping back together. New birds join amidst a kaleidoscope of two-tone gray. Blackbird-shaped specks skitter and fall into place, swooping and dipping, swooping and dipping. They light on the wires that crisscross the San Francisco sky. So these are all examples of poems written to express people's inner creativity. No rhymes are required, and spelling or punctuation doesn't have to be perfect. In addition to teaching poetry writing, I've also worked in hospitals doing poetry therapy. The Poetry Therapy Association helped to create their certification program. What is poetry therapy? It's using the process of writing poetry or poems which are already written to help people relate to their own inner spark. By writing poetry, one gets in touch with one's own strength. In hospitals, it helps people focus on their health inside and not so much on their illness. Poems are also a good springboard for group discussion. Whether dealing with grief, loneliness, anger, or other emotions, hearing one person's words can create an opportunity to express your own thoughts and feelings on the subject. Sometimes it's easier to let someone else's poem speak to you rather than say the same thing yourself. Poetry therapy is very portable. I could go into a patient's room in intensive care and work with someone just as easily as I could have a class for 5 or 10 people. It didn't need a lot of equipment, just some paper and pencils. And I'm glad to be able to tell you that I've received emails from people telling me about the value of using the healing power of poetry in their healing journeys. Cosmic loneliness. This is written by one of the patients at the Institute. There's a corner of my life nobody will ever enter, not even you. Though I wish it so, perhaps you cannot. The fault may not be yours. Sometimes you wander close, so near, and then you flee. Though all else we share and are beloved, it may be too, within you too, there lies a place no one can go. Perhaps we are too frail, and with God only may it be shared. Incomplete am I. For in this corner my essence lies, this being you do not know. At the Institute of the Pennsylvania Hospital, we put out poetry books called Feelings into Words, and Still More Feelings. Here's a poem called The Beginning, which is in this magazine. People are always the same. They start and won't finish. A man once came and said, I'll paint your house. And when the roof was only half finished, he quickly left and never returned. People love the beginning of things. A new acquaintance is so superior to an old one. A new friend or lover is something wonderful which an old friend has lost. The beginning of school is enriching, but it grows dull. People lose interest in what is not new, and then they don't finish. But move quickly on. Spring is the beginning, a new friend. It carries and fills minds with new colorful thoughts. People love it as a new friend or as a beginning. But when comes the warmth which has been missed and is welcomed, they breathe in the air and dance with happiness at the beginning. Here's another one called People Won't Listen. Am I holding this mic right? Am I holding it right? Further away? Yeah.
We need our television for a training. So
Oh.
maybe one or two more.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. So
Oh.
sorry. We started. So there's a
Okay.
training next one.
Oh. Well, maybe I should start wrapping up and thank you all so much for coming. Does anyone have anything they want to read or any questions or comments? Or can I keep going even if he takes off the television?
Yeah, of course. Of course. They just need the TV because they do training. So the nurses are training.
Would that be okay or just,
Yeah, that's
okay.
fine.
Does anyone have a point you want to read them?
On the computer. They need the TV.
People who won't listen. When you want to talk to someone and you won't listen, you keep your words inside and then go tell someone else. I go to someone else I can trust. Talk your problems out to yourself, the wall, the dog, the radio. If I go to someone and he won't listen, I get depressed and feel invisible and alone and half dead. Sometimes I feel dead all the way. I feel no one cares. Let me see, I'm going to, I think that the time, here's one, I want to be sure to get in. It's called Grieving. One silver tear crawls very slowly out of the corner of my eye. Slowly it crawled like a soft caterpillar down my cheek. That was written at Mount Zion, at a cancer support group. I run poetry festivals at the Cultural Integration Fellowship in San Francisco, and I have flyers about that on the table over there. And I also do readings at Sacred Grounds Coffee Shop. And if any of you would like to pick up these flyers or be on my email list, mailing list, and I also wrote books if anybody wants a book of my poems. And I want to thank you so much. You've been really a wonderful, special audience. Each one of you, I've just felt such a nice connection with. And I hope I've convinced you that we're all poets. And if you ever have a poem or that you want to share with me, I have my calling card over there. And thank you for Patricia for having me. And thank you, Leslie and David, for all your work. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I was looking at Sally's website, and it's amazing. And she's spoken to so many different audiences, and she's published in how many periodicals, magazines?
It's pretty many, probably, about 375 by now.
375.
Oh, is that all?
Yes, so she's amazing, and what the work she has done with children, people who have experienced a lot of challenge in their lives, and poetry is really something very special.
My passion.
Thank you so much, and we have lunch. Sally said she didn't want any kind of gratuity, but she wanted lunch. So we're going to have lunch with Sally, so you can continue to speak with her.
Thank you.
And your guests are welcome, so thank you very much also.